They were not destroyed, they were not conquered, they were abandoned, erased, and silenced. Cities built where no human should survive. Coins used by everyone, owned by no one. Soldiers sealed underground as if history itself wanted them forgotten. These discoveries were not supposed to exist. No records, no explanations, no answers. What if parts of our past were intentionally buried? And what if what we are finding now was never meant to be seen? Subscribe to the channel, because once you see this, you'll never look at history the same way again. High in the mist-shrouded heart of the Andes, the stones of the Inca still speak across centuries, challenging time itself. From Sacsayhuaman to Ollantaytambo, colossal walls rise, carved with astonishing precision, yet built without mortar, without cement, without the tools we might expect for such perfection. And still, after centuries of earthquakes, the stones remain unbroken, fitting together so tightly that not even a human hair can slip between them. How could a civilization with no iron tools, no wheels, and no written blueprints achieve this level of mastery? Some call it genius. Others whisper of mysteries lost to time. What do you think? Did the Inca uncover a forgotten technology, or were they simply patient, meticulous masters of craft? Share your thoughts in the comments below. At first glance, Inca walls may appear chaotic, stones of every size, irregular shapes, jagged edges. Step closer, and the illusion vanishes. Each block is meticulously carved to fit its neighbor, like a gigantic three-dimensional jigsaw puzzle. There is no repetition, no standard pattern. Each stone was uniquely shaped to interlock perfectly with those around it. This design was not just artistic, it was practical. The walls can breathe, shifting slightly during earthquakes without breaking. While Spanish colonial buildings crumbled, Inca walls remained steadfast. Each stone, rough to the touch, yet astonishingly precise, forms a living network. Some weigh several tons, others more than 100, but all fit together flawlessly. Many corners are gently rounded, as if the stones themselves were softened before hardening. When sunlight strikes at the right angle, the curves shimmer like ripples across stone, giving the impression that the walls themselves are breathing. It is this organic geometry that allows Inca structures to absorb seismic shocks and endure centuries of tremors. These were not just walls, they were engineered, sculpted, and brought to life by an understanding of forces we still struggle to fully grasp. The mystery deepens when we consider the tools the Inca had at their disposal. Their hammers and chisels were made of bronze or harder stone, yet they shaped granite, diorite, and andesite, rocks so hard that even modern diamond-tipped tools struggle to cut them cleanly. And still, surfaces are polished with near-perfect smoothness, edges align with incredible accuracy, and many stones feature concave faces, rounded corners, and interlocking depressions that seem almost impossible to create with primitive tools. Some scholars argue that the Inca relied on patience, grinding and shaping stones for weeks until they fit. Others suggest they used wooden wedges soaked in water to split rock by natural pressure. But these methods do not fully explain the organic, almost molten-like textures seen on many blocks, especially at contact points. Some archaeologists have even proposed a controversial idea, the soft stone hypothesis, suggesting that the Inca may have known natural chemical or thermal methods to temporarily soften rock, allowing it to be molded with remarkable precision. While experiments with acids or plant-based solvents have produced limited results on limestone or sandstone, granite and andesite remain beyond reach. Yet legends persist. Early Spanish chroniclers recorded that local priests sometimes claimed the walls were grown, not built, and Inca oral traditions mention sacred plants like pito pito, believed to affect stone. Whether myth or lost technology, the suggestion captures the imagination. Could the Inca have inherited knowledge from an earlier, forgotten civilization? At Sacsayhuaman and Ollantaytambo, some stones weigh over 100 tons and were quarried from sites kilometers away across steep mountains and deep rivers. The Inca had no wheels, no large draft animals, and left no evidence of ramps or cranes. The logistical feat of moving, rotating, and fitting these stones with millimeter precision is staggering. Combined with their architectural accuracy, the walls remain one of history's most enduring enigmas. Earthquakes are frequent in the Andes, yet the walls survive because of their irregular trapezoidal design. Stones tilt slightly inward, interlock with one another, and absorb seismic energy, flexing without collapsing. Modern engineers call this seismic flexibility, a principle the Inca understood intuitively centuries before it was formally documented. But Inca precision was not only practical, it was cosmic. Many walls, terraces, and temples were carefully aligned with solstices, equinoxes, and lunar cycles, reflecting a worldview where stone was alive, imbued with a spirit called waka. Architecture was not conquest over nature, but harmony with it. Humans, earth, and sky united in stone. The city of Cuzco, shaped like a sacred puma, symbolized strength and protection. Pathways, stairways, and plazas were oriented to orchestrate light and shadow on ceremonial days, turning the city itself into a living celestial map. Centuries have passed, yet science cannot fully explain how the Inca achieved this mastery. Did they inherit lost knowledge? Did they discover methods now forgotten? Or was it simply human skill honed to perfection? Whatever the truth, the stones remain, silent yet eloquent, keeping their secrets within every joint and curve. As the sun sets over Sacsayhuaman, light dances across polished granite, casting shadows that shimmer like liquid, and the question remains echoing across the Andes. How did the Inca cut, move, and fit these stones so flawlessly without leaving a single trace? Beneath the relentless Egyptian sun, they still stand, silent, flawless, and unyielding. Carved from single blocks of granite harder than steel, the obelisks of ancient Egypt rise like frozen beams of sunlight, piercing the sky with mathematical precision. They were not simply monuments, they were statements of devotion, of power, and of an engineering mastery that continues to unsettle the modern world. Each obelisk was aligned with the path of the sun god Ra, conceived as a solid ray of divine light anchoring heaven to earth. Yet behind their serene elegance lies a question that has haunted historians, engineers, and physicists alike for generations. How did ancient humans move mountains? How did they extract, transport, and raise stones weighing hundreds of tons without iron tools, without cranes, without machines capable of bearing such weight? Even today, no explanation fully satisfies. Every obelisk began its life far to the south, in the granite quarries of Aswan, where some of the hardest stone on earth lies exposed beneath the desert sun. The quarry walls still bear the scars of ancient labor, impact marks from dolerite hammerstones tougher than granite itself. There, cut directly from the bedrock, lies one of archaeology's most haunting testaments to ambition, the unfinished obelisk. Had it been completed, it would have measured over 42 meters long and weighed more than 1,000 tons, making it the largest single stone object ever attempted in antiquity. A crack formed during extraction, forcing its abandonment. Yet even in failure, it reveals something extraordinary, not weakness, but confidence. The ancient builders fully intended to move it. The extraction alone defies casual explanation. Workers carved deep trenches around the monolith, striking granite day after day, year after year, with nothing but stone tools and relentless patience. Once freed from the bedrock, the obelisk faced its greatest challenge: transportation. From Aswan, the stone had to travel hundreds of kilometers north to cities such as Heliopolis, Karnak, and Luxor, crossing desert terrain and then the Nile itself, without fracturing a single edge. Modern engineers struggle to comprehend how this was achieved without steel reinforcements or modern vehicles. The prevailing theory suggests that obelisks were hauled on massive wooden sledges, dragged across prepared paths, while water was poured onto the sand to reduce friction. A famous Middle Kingdom relief from the tomb of Jehuti-Hotep depicts workers pulling a colossal statue on such a sledge, with a figure pouring liquid ahead of it. But here lies the problem. That statue weighed far less than a royal obelisk. When the mathematics are scaled up, the required manpower becomes implausible, far exceeding the physical space available around the stone. Friction, ground pressure, and material limits all push the scenario to the edge of possibility. Then comes the Nile. No single wooden barge could safely support the weight of an obelisk. Ancient texts offer no explanation. Some scholars propose that the Egyptians used paired barges lashed together, creating a floating cradle. Others suggested custom-built vessels reinforced with layered timbers, papyrus ropes, and buoyant compartments. Yet, even if such ships existed, one question remains unanswered. How was the stone loaded onto them without capsizing the vessel? And the final act, the most astonishing of all, was yet to come. At their destination, the obelisks had to be raised upright, perfectly aligned, and set onto prepared bases with astonishing accuracy. A single miscalculation would mean catastrophic failure. Granite does not forgive errors. Ancient inscriptions celebrate the dedication of obelisks to Ra and record the glory of the pharaohs who commissioned them, but none describe the method of erection. No diagrams, no instructions, no accounts of triumph or disaster, only silence, and stones still standing after thousands of years. Modern attempts to replicate the feat have been sobering. Throughout the 20th century, engineers in Egypt and Europe attempted to raise scaled-down obelisks using ramps, levers, and counterweights. Even with modern physics, the experiments repeatedly failed. Stones cracked, supports collapsed. The margin for error proved brutally small. With cranes, steel cables, and hydraulic systems, we can move obelisks today, but we cannot convincingly reproduce how the ancient Egyptians did it without them. This has led some engineers to believe that the secret was not brute force, but control. One widely discussed hypothesis proposes that the Egyptians used sand as a precision tool. In this model, a pit was filled with sand and the obelisk was gradually raised or lowered by carefully releasing the sand through channels, allowing gravity to do the work slowly and evenly. Another theory imagines large sand ramps or mounds with the obelisk tilted upright in stages as earth was removed in measured increments. Such methods would require extraordinary planning, mathematical intuition, and an understanding of weight distribution far beyond what we typically attribute to Bronze Age societies. And still, none of these theories have been conclusively proven. Beyond mainstream archaeology, more speculative ideas persist. Some suggest that the Egyptians may have experimented with acoustic resonance, using sound to reduce friction or stabilize stone. Others speak of lost techniques involving natural forces we do not yet fully understand. These ideas lack direct evidence, but they endure for one reason. The achievements themselves demand explanation. Even the Romans, with iron tools and advanced engineering, struggled to move Egyptian obelisks centuries later. Transporting the obelisk of Thutmose III to Rome required specially built ships, enormous crews, and months of perilous navigation. Entire Roman fleets were lost attempting similar feats. And yet, the Egyptians did it first, repeatedly, without iron, without wheels capable of supporting the load, without written physics. Why? Because obelisks were not decorations. They were sacred instruments, solidified sunlight, symbols of cosmic order and divine authority. To raise an obelisk was to demonstrate not only devotion to Ra, but mastery over nature itself, a declaration that humanity, guided by divine knowledge, could shape the earth. Perhaps that was the true message carved into granite. We can measure the stones, we can analyze the tool marks, we can model the forces, and still the question echoes louder with every calculation. How did they do it? Was it genius, faith,
lost knowledge, or a way of thinking about nature that we have forgotten in our reliance on machines? Today, Egyptian obelisks stand far from their birthplace in Rome, Paris, London, and New York. Modern cranes lifted them there. Engineers documented every step. And yet, none of those modern feats carry the same quiet defiance as the originals. Each time sunlight strikes their tips, it feels as though the ancients are still speaking, across millennia, reminding us that once a civilization mastered stone, balance, and belief in ways we may never fully recover. Perhaps the greatest achievement of ancient Egypt was not simply raising the obelisks, but ensuring that their mystery would never fall. As long as they stand, and as long as we ask how, their legacy remains alive.
Hidden deep within the rugged mountains of central Afghanistan lies a place that once pulsed with color, light, and prayer, and now whispers only echoes of a vanished world. The fortified caves of Bamiyan stretch across the sandstone cliffs of the Bamiyan Valley, a breathtaking and haunting reminder of a civilization that fused art, faith, and architecture into one monumental enigma. For centuries, travelers along the Silk Road spoke of Bamiyan as a holy city carved from living rock, a labyrinth of chambers and tunnels that seemed less built by human hands and more sculpted by time itself. Yet beneath the grandeur of its murals and colossal statues lies an enduring question. Who designed this immense cave complex, and for what ultimate purpose? Were these caves shaped by devout monks, a mysterious dynasty, or a lost guild of master architects? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Long before the region became synonymous with conflict and ruin, Bamiyan was a flourishing center of Buddhist scholarship and meditation. Between the 3rd and 8th century CE, monks carved thousands of caves into the cliffs. Some were simple dwellings, others were ornate temples with soaring ceilings and intricately painted walls. They lived, studied, and meditated in this silent sanctuary, flanked by the 2 colossal Buddha statues, once over 50 meters tall, that gazed over the valley. These statues were not mere isolated monuments. They formed the spiritual heart of an entire complex that blended devotion with strategic design. The caves surrounding them were connected by stairways and hidden passages, forming an intricate network capable of withstanding both time and attack. The architecture of Bamiyan's caves reveals remarkable sophistication. Small meditation cells sit alongside expansive halls for dozens of people. Ventilation shafts channel air deep underground, while angled corridors allow sunlight to illuminate altars and frescoes without exposing sanctuaries to the valley's harsh winds. Some chambers were reinforced with stone pillars or wooden beams, evidence that the builders understood not just aesthetics, but also principles of engineering and stability.
Archaeologists have also noted elevated watch points, defensive walls, and storage areas for food and water, suggesting that the cave complex functioned as both a sanctuary of faith and a fortress. Narrow openings could have served as lookout points or archery slits, and hidden tunnels connected higher chambers with lower ones for rapid escape or covert movement. All of this points to a centralized design system far beyond what isolated monks could have achieved on their own. Yet no records survive to tell us who oversaw this grand vision. Ancient texts describe Bamiyan as a great Buddhist kingdom, but none named the architects or engineers who carved the cliffs. Was it commissioned by a forgotten dynasty aiming to merge spiritual devotion with military strategy? Or was it the work of an organized monastic order, a hidden brotherhood of artisans and masons who mastered the art of turning stone into both temple and fortress? Some scholars speculate that Bamiyan's builders belonged to a cross-cultural guild, traveling along the Silk Road and blending architectural techniques from India, Persia, and China into a unique language of stone that has no parallel in the ancient world. The precision of the cave's defensive geometry deepens the mystery. The angles of entrances, the alignment of sight lines, and the layering of chambers across vertical tiers appear deliberate. Some layouts mirror Central Asian fortresses, while others echo Buddhist stupas, symbolic representations of the cosmos. It is as if the builders sought to weave cosmic harmony and military logic into a single monumental design.
Adding to the intrigue are the paintings within the caves. Using pigments from lapis lazuli, cinnabar, and even early oil-based techniques, Bamiyan's artists created some of the world's earliest examples of polychrome murals, predating the European Renaissance by centuries. The walls once shimmered with celestial imagery, golden halos, lotus flowers, winged figures, and geometric patterns, some believed to encode cosmological knowledge. Certain chambers may have been aligned with the sun and stars for astronomical observation or ritual navigation, suggesting planning beyond mere monastic labor. Over the centuries, invasions, religious shifts, and neglect altered the caves. Muslim settlers, Mongol armies, and local tribes left inscriptions, repurposed chambers for storage, or turned dwellings into shelters. Layers of history accumulated, yet the underlying design remained too deliberate, too unified to be accidental. Every stairway and tunnel seems to follow a hidden blueprint, suggesting that someone once understood the mountain as a whole. Modern archaeologists have tried to reconstruct this blueprint through 3D scanning and drone imaging, but hundreds of caves remain inaccessible, collapsed, or sealed by debris and unexploded ordnance. Satellite imagery hints at undiscovered chambers, while local legend speaks of hidden rooms filled with relics and manuscripts beyond reach. Could these hold the missing records of Bamiyan's architects? Or has time erased their story entirely, leaving only the question as their legacy? The scale of Bamiyan required more than devotion. It demanded manpower, organization, knowledge of geology, geometry, and engineering. It demanded foresight, the ability to envision a mountain as both temple and fortress. And yet the creators remain anonymous, their genius etched in stone but uncredited. Perhaps they intended it that way, crafting something eternal and selfless, a monument to enlightenment that transcends the ego. Or perhaps their names were swallowed by the very cliffs they shaped. As the sun sets over the silent cliffs of Bamiyan, the wind whispers through the hollow caves where the Buddhas once stood. Within those echoes lies the secret of those who carved a mountain into a fortress, blending faith, art, and strategy into one eternal mystery. The fortified caves of Bamiyan are not merely ruins, they are a riddle written in stone, awaiting the day their design is fully understood. Until then, one question endures. Who built the fortress of Bamiyan, and what truth were they trying to protect? Across the windswept steppes of Eurasia, beneath frozen soil and endless grasslands, archaeologists have uncovered one of the most extraordinary burial traditions of the ancient world, the chariot burials of the Scythians. These graves, belonging to a nomadic people who once ruled the lands from the Black Sea to Siberia, reveal a culture of spiritual depth and ritual grandeur, full of mysteries that still defy explanation more than 2 millennia later. The Scythians were famed to the Greeks as fierce horsemen and archers, seemingly born in the saddle, a civilization without cities, yet with unshakable pride. Yet beneath the image of wild nomads lay a society of remarkable sophistication. Across Ukraine, southern Russia, and Central Asia, burial sites reveal order, symbolism, and meticulous ritual. At the heart of these rituals lies a haunting image, a warrior or noble lying in eternal slumber beside his horses and war chariot, ready to ride once more beyond the veil of death. Were these chariot burials for kings and warriors, or did they carry a deeper spiritual significance? Share your thoughts in the comments below. For the Scythians, the chariot was far more than a tool of war. It was a sacred vessel. When an elite warrior or chieftain died, his people constructed a deep burial chamber, often beneath a towering kurgan, a mound rising above the steppe. Inside, they placed not only the body of the deceased, but also a fully harnessed chariot, accompanied by horses sacrificed and arranged as if ready to charge into the afterlife. These were real horses, adorned with gold and silver harnesses, positioned with ceremonial precision. Even after thousands of years, traces of braided manes, leather straps, and bits remain. In the Scythian worldview, the chariot was the vehicle of the soul, and the horses were sacred guides carrying their master across the eternal plains of the afterlife. When these tombs were first uncovered in the Altai Mountains, the Don and Dnieper valleys, and the plains of Kazakhstan, archaeologists were astonished. Burial chambers were filled with gold jewelry, intricately decorated weapons, and ceremonial artifacts, swords with zoomorphic hilts, golden plaques depicting griffins and stags, and fabrics embroidered with animal motifs. Each object conveyed stories of power, identity, and myth.
Animals were central to Scythian belief. The stag symbolized rebirth, the eagle divine vision, and the panther ferocity and battle. Golden ornaments on warriors and their horses shimmered like captured sunlight, a reflection of divine favor. Yet alongside these treasures lay darker evidence, human and animal sacrifice. Some graves contained attendants, wives, or servants, positioned with care, often killed just before burial. Greek historian Herodotus, writing in the 5th century BCE, described these rituals. When a great king died, his body would be embalmed and paraded so all tribes could pay respects. A year later, dozens of horses and servants were sacrificed and arranged around the royal tomb, mirroring their living roles in death. Modern excavations confirm much of Herodotus's account. The precision of these arrangements reveals a ritual codified with religious and cosmic significance. In the remote Altai permafrost, some Pazyryk tombs preserve mummified bodies with tattoos still visible, depicting mythic beasts, blending stags, lions, and eagles. Wooden chariots with spoked wheels, axles, and leather harnesses survive almost perfectly intact, showing not only their form, but also how they were positioned in ceremonial alignment. Wheels and horse heads were often oriented east toward the rising sun, a symbol of rebirth. The burials suggest a structured hierarchy. Only kings, chiefs, and elite warriors received such grandeur. Yet in several tombs, archaeologists discovered women buried with chariots, not as passive companions, but as warriors. Their bones bore healed fractures, arrow wounds, and strong musculature, while their graves contained bows, quivers, and spears. These findings sparked an age-old debate. Could these women be the legendary Amazons described by Greek writers, horsewomen who rivaled men in battle? Or were they part of a spiritual elite, priestesses entrusted with guiding the chariots and souls of the dead? Scholars propose multiple interpretations. The chariot may have symbolized the sun's journey, with its riders chosen to escort the celestial deity across the sky. Others see it as an emblem of royal power, ritually sealed to prevent misuse by the living. The presence of women challenges our assumptions about gender, war, and religious authority in the ancient world. For the Scythians, burying a functional chariot, the pinnacle of craftsmanship, alongside living horses and gold, was a profound act. It was not mere wealth or ceremony. It symbolized that death was not an end, but a passage requiring all the instruments of earthly glory. Across the endless steppe, the kurgans still rise like silent mountains. Beneath them lie chariots frozen in motion, horses poised for eternity, warriors and priestesses alike waiting for the eternal hunt.
Their language is lost, their civilization vanished, yet their graves speak a universal human language, a yearning for power, remembrance, and the journey that never truly ends. And among those bones, golden trinkets, and wooden wheels lies the haunting question that refuses to die. Who truly rests beside these chariots? A king, a warrior, a priestess, or perhaps a spirit destined to ride forever across the eternal steppe?
Beneath the blazing sun of the ancient Mediterranean, where golden waves kiss the shores of Alexandria, there once rose a tower so magnificent it seemed to touch the heavens, the legendary lighthouse of Pharos. To approaching sailors, its fiery crown promised safety. To kings, scholars, and travelers, it was a testament to human ingenuity, a beacon of civilization and mastery over nature. Built more than 2,000 years ago, this towering marvel defied the limits of its time. Even now, as its stones rest beneath the waves, the Pharos of Alexandria still calls out through history, daring us to uncover how ancient hands built the impossible. Do you think ancient engineers truly mastered techniques we cannot replicate today? Share your thoughts in the comments below. The lighthouse was commissioned around the 3rd century BCE under the reign of Ptolemy II Philadelphus. At that time, Alexandria was the beating heart of the Greco-Roman world, a hub of philosophy, astronomy, mathematics, and maritime trade. Despite its grandeur, ships approaching the coast faced deadly reefs, fog, and unpredictable tides. Ptolemy II ordered the construction of a massive tower on the small island of Pharos, a beacon to guide sailors safely home. The word Pharos would later become synonymous with all lighthouses, a linguistic legacy that endures to this day. According to ancient accounts, the tower stood between 110 and 140 meters, roughly the height of a modern 30-story building. Its design was remarkable, a solid square base like a fortress, an octagonal midsection rising toward the sky, and a cylindrical top where an immense flame burned day and night. Inside, a spiraling ramp allowed workers to carry timber and fuel to the summit. The structure fused Greek geometry, Egyptian craftsmanship, and Hellenistic engineering, a masterpiece thousands of years ahead of its time. At the tower's peak, a massive bronze mirror reflected the firelight, reportedly visible over 50 kilometers out to sea. Some Arabic manuscripts even claimed the reflected rays could burn enemy ships, a primitive optical weapon. While modern scholars often dismiss this as exaggeration, the advanced system of light projection was extraordinary. The lighthouse was more than a navigational tool. From its base, one could see the bustling port of Alexandria, where ships from Greece, Rome, Carthage, India, and the Red Sea converged. Merchants, scholars, and philosophers arriving at the harbor gazed upon its blazing light, a symbol of civilization, prosperity, and human ambition. Alongside the Library of Alexandria, the lighthouse stood as one of the twin pillars illuminating the glory of the Hellenistic age. Yet, like all wonders, its majesty was not eternal. For centuries, Pharos endured storms, wars, and earthquakes. Between the 10th and 14th centuries, a series of devastating tremors brought the lighthouse crashing into the sea. When the Mamluks later built the Kite fortress in the 15th century, they reused some of these stones, as if history were being reborn from its ruins. Still, even in destruction, the legend of Pharos echoed across the Mediterranean. In 1994, a French archaeological team led by Jean-Yves Empereur discovered hundreds of granite blocks, fragments of statues, and massive bronze pieces beneath Alexandria's waters. Many bore markings that matched historical descriptions of the lighthouse, suggesting its remains rest quietly beneath the Mediterranean, awaiting rediscovery. Although modern 3D reconstructions have visualized the tower, technical and political obstacles have kept the true restoration forever suspended between legend and history. No mystery of the ancient world captivates the imagination quite like the construction of the Lighthouse of Pharos. Over 2 millennia ago, engineers erected a tower over 140 meters tall on a small island surrounded by shifting sands and restless waves, without cranes, steel, or modern machinery. Each stone weighed several tons. Scholars propose ingenious methods, massive causeways or floating wooden platforms to transport blocks from the mainland, counterweight-powered cranes or lever systems, but even these ideas struggle to explain the precision and balance achieved against fierce sea winds.
The secret was not just brute strength, it was structural mastery. With constant waves and wind battering the tower, a small miscalculation could have caused collapse. Yet Pharos stood for over 16 centuries, proof that ancient engineers understood stress distribution, load-bearing principles, and architectural geometry far earlier than Europe would formally codify them. The lighthouse's bronze mirror remains one of its greatest enigmas. Accounts describe it projecting light across the Mediterranean for tens of kilometers. To achieve such power, builders would have needed exceptional knowledge of optics and reflective geometry, shaping and polishing a massive bronze surface with unmatched precision. Some suggest a parabolic curve to focus light like modern lighthouse lenses. Others claim alignment with the sun, adjusted daily by skilled astronomers. Even today, such craftsmanship astounds. When the Roman Empire took control of Egypt, they replicated the Pharos design in ports from Ostia in Rome to Dover in England, but none matched the original's grandeur. It seems the construction secrets of Alexandria's engineers vanished with its builders, passed down orally, never written. Today, sonar scans of Alexandria Bay reveal traces of a three-tiered foundation system matching historical accounts. Digital reconstructions have revived the lighthouse in virtual form, shining once more across the imagined sea. Yet the real question remains: how did the ancients build it? Was it advanced knowledge lost to time, or sheer human ingenuity, persistence, and faith in the impossible? Though the lighthouse of Pharos has long vanished, it lives on in memory as a symbol of human ambition, a monument to reaching for the sky with intellect, courage, and belief. Perhaps somewhere beneath Alexandria Bay, the stones still guard their secret, waiting for those daring enough to rediscover them. Across the isolated Pacific, more than 2,000 kilometers from any mainland, rises one of humanity's most haunting mysteries: the Moai statues of Rapa Nui, or Easter Island. Carved centuries ago from volcanic tuff, these colossal figures stand as silent witnesses to a vanished civilization. Yet beyond their size and eerie presence lies an even deeper enigma that has baffled archaeologists for generations: the placement of their massive red stone hats known as pukao. Each pukao weighs over 10 tons, carved from a separate quarry atop Punapau, miles from the main Rano-Raraku quarry where the Moai bodies were shaped. And somehow they were lifted and balanced with impossible precision atop statues already towering several meters high. How could a society without metal tools, wheels, or beasts of burden achieve such a feat? Was it engineering, ritual, or something beyond our understanding? Share your thoughts in the comments below. For the Rapa Nui, the Moai were far more than sculptures. They were living embodiments of ancestors, vessels channeling a sacred energy called mana. Each statue faced inland, guarding villages and protecting descendants through a force that bridged the living and the dead. Those crowned with a red pukao stood apart. The red stones symbolized vitality, power, and divinity. Across Polynesian cultures, red was sacred, the blood of life itself. To wear red was to be touched by the gods. Placing a pukao atop a moai was not mere decoration, it was a ritual of empowerment, a ceremony through which stone was granted spiritual life. The mystery begins long before the hats reached the statues. The pukao were quarried from Punapau, a small crater of soft reddish volcanic scoria. The journey, rough volcanic terrain, uneven slopes, and no roads would have been treacherous. Moving even one 10-ton pukao demanded extraordinary ingenuity. Archaeologists have discovered carved paths across the landscape, suggesting the Rapa Nui rolled the cylinders using ropes and logs. But the scarcity of large trees on the island at the time raises further questions. Once at their destination, the real challenge awaited: lifting a 10-ton cylinder onto a narrow, uneven Moai head without cranes or pulleys. Scholars have proposed several hypotheses. One is the ramp theory, in which the Rapa Nui constructed sloping ramps of soil and stone to drag the pukao upward. Plausible, yet no traces of such massive ramps remain, and the amount of material needed seems far beyond the island's resources.
Another is the rolling theory, suggesting the cylindrical pukao were rolled along inclined surfaces or even spiral ramps around the statues. Archaeologists have found grooves on some pukao, possibly from ropes used to pull them, or perhaps symbolic spirals representing spiritual ascent from earth to sky. Modern experiments, such as those conducted by the University of Manchester team, attempted to replicate the feat. Even at a fraction of the original size, balancing and lifting a replica proved nearly impossible. The delicate alignment required to seat the stone atop a Moai left no room for error. One slip could shatter both stones and endanger the workers. Yet somehow, centuries ago, the Rapa Nui did it repeatedly with astonishing precision. How did they know it could be done? Was it a forgotten technique, a ritualized method passed down orally, or did faith and community cohesion provide the strength needed to accomplish the impossible? Additional clues emerge from some fallen pukao. Spiral patterns and carved indentations may have held ropes or wooden beams, hinting that the Rapa Nui understood mechanical principles such as leverage, friction, and counterweight, concepts we associate with classical engineering. Could this have been a unique, isolated science of stone movement now lost? Yet perhaps the answer lies as much in ceremony as mechanics. Raising the pukao was likely a communal performance, merging engineering with faith. The Rapa Nui believed the Moai were inhabited by ancestral spirits guiding the living. To crown a Moai with a pukao was to empower the ancestor, an offering of strength and continuity. The difficulty itself reinforced social unity, teaching that only collective effort could achieve what seemed impossible. Even with symbolic interpretations, the physical question remains. The largest pukao weighs nearly 12 tons and measures over 2 meters in diameter. How did the Rapa Nui maintain stability and precision on a curved Moai crown? Computer models suggest that even a slight misalignment would cause the stone to topple. Such precision demands knowledge of geometry, counterbalancing, and coordination at a scale astonishing for a Neolithic society.
Some fringe theorists invoke extraterrestrial help, but mainstream archaeology emphasizes human ingenuity. The truth may be less cosmic, yet no less extraordinary. A small, isolated island community developed the discipline, coordination, and vision to perform feats that still defy modern replication. By the time European explorers arrived in the 18th century, many Moai had fallen, their pukao lying scattered. Some toppled from earthquakes, others from internal conflict. Yet, even in ruin, these red crowns evoke awe. They are a testament not only to skill, but to devotion, a connection between stone, spirit, and a boundless imagination of humankind. To stand before a Moai crowned with a pukao is to confront a paradox. Silent stone, yet a story of human ambition, precision, and faith. The Rapa Nui red hats are not mere relics, they are eternal witnesses to humanity's will to transcend its limits.